Hi everybody, Penny here. Welcome to my kitchen. So today we're going to do a basic chicken broth. And the reason we're going to do that today is because we're heading into the winter season, which is also cold and flu and all that kind of stuff. And chicken broth or chicken soup is also nicknamed Jewish penicillin. Don't know why, but there's certain properties in chicken broth that are just healing to the soul, healing to the body, great for your immune system, and it's something great to have on hand, not only for if someone is, not feeling well, but for soup, for rice. So you have 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of liquid. Why not bump up your rice flavor and use 2 cups of chicken stock? And it's fairly expensive to buy in the stores. And to be honest, the stuff that you buy in the stores is often not even close or comparable to the ones that you can make at home. And it's so easy to make. You can put it in ice cubes. So if you're making, say, a macaroni and cheese, and you're making, like your cheese sauce, and you want to add up that, bump up that bit of flavor, you could throw in a couple of ice cubes of chicken stock. You could freeze it in 1 cup containers or a freezer baggie, measure out 1 cup. So when you're going to make a bit of rice, take out the appropriate amount of chicken stock. Or you can take the whole thing, put it in 1 big container, put it in the freezer for the next time you're going to make soup, or say chicken chili or chicken stew or chicken soup, all kinds of things. It's so good. So we're going to start off with a rotisserie chicken that we had several weeks ago. We took off what we wanted for that night for supper, and then I put the rest of it in a large freezer bag and wrote on it chicken for stock. So there's 2 full chicken legs there, so there's still lots of meat, and there's actual meat still on the body of the chicken. Now, if you actually eat all the meat off of it, still good. Don't throw it away. Put it in the freezer. Once you cut off all the meat, put it in the freezer for chicken stock. This way, though, we will have some meat in the stock for chicken soup. But you don't have to have the meat on it. You can use up all the meat with your meals, sandwiches for the next day, blah, blah, blah. You don't even have to cook the chicken. Buy a rotisserie chicken. So this is going to go in my pressure cooker. Now, I don't have an Instant Pot. It's a different brand name. Works the same way. So I'm going to cook it in here for 30 minutes. Now, some people out there say bone broth is even better. Bone broth is very difficult to do at home because it does require some commercial equipment, because you have to cook it for, oh gosh, I think 18 to 24 hours. I'm not a chef, but I think that's how they make commercialized bone broth. And that apparently is supposed to be even healthier. But to get basic chicken broth, all you need is a half an hour. I have been told that you can do a home version of bone broth by leaving it in here for up to 2 hours. I have done it. The flavor is amazing. But I don't know if there's any extra health benefits to a basic broth versus a bone broth. But give it a go if you want to. Now, if you don't have a pressure cooker, you could easily do this on top of the stove. Just throw everything in a pot, bring it up to a boil, then put it down to a gentle simmer and leave it there for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can easily do this with a slow cooker crock pot. So same procedure, put it all in the crock pot, but you would leave it for between 4 to 6 hours on high or 8 to 10 hours on low. And you still get a beautiful chicken broth. And you don't even have to do anything. The pot does it all for you. Whether it's a pressure cooker pot, a crock pot, slow cooker, or a pot on top of the stove. So it's super easy. So here we have our chicken carcass. So we're going to throw that in. And that's still partially frozen, and that's okay. Not a problem. Okay, just lay that aside. And we are going to throw in 1 carrot, 1 stalk of celery. Now, this stalk of celery is a little rubbery. The carrot isn't, but if it was, that would still be good. Those are the perfect vegetables to use when making stock or making soup, is when they're just you know, not quite as fresh, but still good to eat. Okay, so we have 1 stalk of celery, 1 carrot, 1 clove of garlic, and 1 onion. Then we're going to add some salt, a bay leaf, and some peppercorns. So I'm just going to cut all of this on a bit of a diagonal. Doesn't have to be diagonal. That's just me being me. But cut it up, because the more surface area you have, the more flavor you have to come out. So I'm just going to cut the end off of that carrot. And again, just in big chunks. Doesn't have to be diagonal. We'll throw that in the pot. Now we're going to smash up our garlic. Sorry, I'm just going to cut the little end off there. And put that over here. Then we're going to smash her. And that's all you want to do, is a smashed garlic, because you've already got that broken open, so that's going to give you some flavor. Now we have our onion, and we're going to cut off the top. There we go. My knife needs to be sharpened, and I'm always telling everybody at home, don't be using a dull knife. So my knife needs to be sharpened. Okay, so we're going to cut her in half, and then we're going to take the outside peel off. We don't need to take any more off. There we go. Throw that in. Take that. I'm going to leave that little bit of peel on. And the reason I'm going to leave that little bit of peel on is because the peel of the onion actually adds a lot of color to your chicken stock. So sometimes when you get onions, you know, you'll have like 2 or 3 layers of the outside peel. Take off the outside one, but leave at least 1 layer on if you're making stock, because it adds a beautiful color. Okay, now I'm going to put in 2 bay leaves. You could do 1, totally up to you, but I'm going to put in 2. And peppercorns. If you don't have peppercorns, don't worry about it. You can put in a pinch of pepper. That's about a tablespoon or so. And I'm going to add a generous amount of salt. That's probably a tablespoon and a half. But you can season it later to your taste. So to speed up the process a little bit, and you can do this whether it's a pressure cooker, a crock pot, or on top of the stove, I've boiled the kettle. So a pressure cooker takes a little while to come up to pressure because it has to boil the water first. So to speed up that process, let me just put in a bit of boiling water from the kettle. So I have to add a little bit more water. But like I said, put this on for 30 minutes. Crock pot, 4 to 6 hours on high, 8 to 10 hours on low. On top of the stove, you're going to look at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and you will have lovely, lovely chicken stock. So I'm going to set this up, and when it's ready, we'll be back. Hi everybody, back again. So our chicken stock is ready. It was in the pressure cooker for 30 minutes, once it came up to pressure, of course. And then I let it, what they call self-release, for about a half an hour. And then I press the release button, and just, you have to release the pressure before you open it. So always open it away from you. Never open it this way, because you might hurt yourself with the steam. Oh, look at that. Yay! I know you can't see it, and I can't tip it. Well, you can see it a little bit there. So now that we have our chicken stock, I'm going to take all of that out. Look at that. I'm going to take all of that out and let it cool. And then my wonderful husband, Barry, also my cameraman and editor, he always picks the meat off of the bones for me whenever I make chicken soup or turkey soup or anything like that. So he's going to do that once this is cooled. Now, if you were doing this in a crock pot, you could do the exact same thing. So if you're doing it on low for 6 to 8 hours, once you get to the 8-hour part, you can remove everything that's in there. And then you're left with just the beautiful chicken stock. Okay, so I'm going to lay that over here and let that cool. So I've decided, along with the chicken stock, I'll show you how to make a really, really basic chicken soup. So if you're using this on the out of a crock pot for 8 to 10 hours, at the 8-hour mark or the 6-hour mark, depending on how long you're going to do it, but 2 hours before, you can take all of the bones and the vegetables and whatnot out, and you're left with just your broth. Then what you can do is take 1 onion chopped, 2 stalks of celery diced, and here I have, say, 3 large, 4 medium. I had 4 medium carrots, all diced up as well. Now we're going to put all of that back in, and you can do this on top of the stove as well. So after your hour, an hour and a half, take out all of the things that are in your stock and then put your vegetables in. If it was a crock pot, I would leave the vegetables in then for the 2 hours. And then on the stove, they would probably take about, 20 minutes to a half an hour, depending on how big you've diced up your vegetables. So we'll do that now. And that's really hot. I don't want to scald myself. But if you're using a pressure cooker, you can put all of this in there. There we go. And then put it back on for about, 5 minutes. There you are. And then when that 5 minutes is up, I am going to add, because they're in the fridge left over, some frozen green peas that were cooked for supper the other night. I'm going to throw those in there as well. They don't need to be reheated. This is going to be well hot enough to be able to do that. Then we're going to have the chicken that is from the chicken parts. Throw that in. And then I'm going to put in about a half a package of the egg noodles to make chicken noodle soup, which is optional. You could use rice if you wanted to, but the egg noodles cook in between 10 to 12 minutes. I would just put them in with the hot water with the pressure cooker and let them cook. Wouldn't even bother to keep it on. There's going to be so much residual heat. It'll cook in the 10 to 12 minutes. Again, if it's the crock pot, put these in the last, 15 minutes or so. And then, of course, on top of the stove, you can put those in and let them cook for the 10 minutes. And that's it. You'll have some lovely, lovely chicken noodle soup. And you saw how easy it was. Super, super, super easy. So I really hope you give it a go. And freeze your chicken stock, put it in ice cubes or 1-cup containers, or a big container if you know later on you're going to freeze it. You're going to make some chicken soup. And even if you're with the purpose of making chicken soup, if you take the meat off your chicken, you can put it back in the stock and then freeze it. And then when you're ready to add the vegetables down the road when you want to make your soup, you can do it that way. Easy peasy. 3 different ways. I hope you give it a go. Enjoy. Bye.